Hi, I'm Jake with Oasis Custom Decks, and I'm here to tell you why we are the right company to build your new deck. I spent about 8 years active duty in the Navy and almost 12 years with the reserve time. I was a naval air crewman and an aircraft mechanic. While obviously all of those skills don't directly translate to building decks, I'm not flying this thing anywhere. The concept of precision measurement, the concept of attention to detail, being able to apply a process and refine it is a key difference and thing that I did learn whenever I was in the military. And I had the honor of dealing with many high-ranking officers and even politicians. I flew on probably one of the nicest planes that the military had to offer. It was an amazing adventure. But in dealing with those types of people, I learned not just honor, but also the level of expectation that high-ranking officers and very elite people in the military have is uncommon at best. So I try and apply that level of excellence to everything that I do in my business. When you're dealing with flying, it's your responsibility as a crew chief or a loadmaster to make sure the people on that plane are safe. If you make a mistake that no one else in the crew catches, it could cost everybody their lives. So whenever you have that degree of stress and responsibility, applying those principles that everything that you do is going to be important in the future. That's how I see building decks, which might seem a little over the top, but right now I'm standing on a deck that's 12 feet in the air. If I hadn't built it right and this thing fell down even after I was retired, I've got to live with the fact that maybe there's a huge group of people up on the deck that I built, and I never want to think about that. So every deck that I build is built to the highest possible standard. Obviously, I can't stop 300 people from getting up on this deck and jumping at the same time, but I can build it so it might have a chance at surviving it. At Oasis, our commitment has been to making sure our customers get the best value and the best quality that we can provide. Whenever I show up to someone's house, I do everything I can to make sure that they understand that I'm not just going to build them a deck, I'm going to do everything I can to take care of them throughout the process. We're always committed to using the highest quality products that we can get our hands on. By partnering with Trex as a Trex Pro, we're able to ensure that we have the best products and are always on top of what the current technology in decking is. That's why we made the investment in our milling process. That's why I, as the owner of the company, am at every job site, because I care about making sure that if I'm building something, it's going to be a quality product and it's going to be a safe deck for your family. That level of trust and understanding is not something that you can get with a bigger company. What are some of the things other homeowners are saying after their projects?
You can definitely tell when you compare Oasis's work compared to other people's, there's a dramatic difference in quality.
We're really thrilled with the final product. The picture framing Jake had described to us really sets the thing off.
The final product is amazing. We love it. We are really happy with it. We got it bigger. We added some different colors and some features we didn't know that we originally wanted. Jake helped us with those selections. And yeah, we're really pleased. We think it looks great.
I would definitely recommend Jake and Oasis to other customers and neighbors here in our development. I really think Jake's focus and strong communication skills and his ability to answer any questions you have really makes you at ease and know that you went with Oasis and that was the right choice to make.
When you're choosing a contractor to do a major project in your home, you want to know that not only are they going to show up and do it, but they absolutely know what they're talking about and have the skill to get it done. Here's what some customers are saying about Oasis Custom Decks, skills and technical knowledge in the area of deck building.
We got a hold of Oasis Custom Decks online, and he came up, saw what we wanted, measured things out, came up with different options, and during the course of construction, he would come up with options that were very relevant to what we were trying to accomplish. And he would just make the changes on the fly. We're having a hot tub installed. Originally it was going to be on ground level, and Jake was able to quickly make arrangements to have it installed on top of the deck with the appropriate support underneath.
He showed me several samples of what types of trucks there was, what colors. He sort of dummied it down for me because there was a lot of things I didn't understand, picture frame, things like that. I didn't understand the whole process. So he explained it to me. And then when it came time to install the deck, his expertise, I would say, would be engineering level, and everything was precise and exact.
The fact that Jake came out, met with us, spent time with us. He found some things with the old deck and the way the old deck was constructed that wasn't terribly safe. Explained everything to us before he did it. Called in any experts that needed to be called in to make sure that the new deck was both aesthetically pleasing but also really safe for us and our family to use.
He knew what he was talking about. And some of the things he did replacing this deck, I was in awe. He's very professional. He knows what he's doing, and he's very good at it. And they did a very nice job.
Everyone knows that when you're building something, things can go wrong. Things can go missing. Maybe a part didn't come like it was supposed to, or there's a surprise whenever you start demolition. Here are some ways we've dealt with the issues that have come up in our past projects.
We had actually ordered a specific railing. Unfortunately, there were 4 different railings within that family. Jake thought it was one. We wanted another. I noticed it wasn't the right one. Came out and I showed Jake the contract. He said, "Yeah, I saw that, but I thought it was something else." He immediately stopped work, reordered the proper railing, and admitted that he misunderstood what we were looking for, but immediately corrected the situation and went on from there.
The project installation went really well. It happened during the winter months, so we were a little bit slowed down by weather. Jake let us know if he wasn't going to be there, why he wasn't going to be there, kept us in the loop of everything that was going on, really cleaned up every day before he left. So there was never, big piles of trash or debris. There weren't things blowing around that could potentially blow out through the yard. And was engaging and friendly. Our grandbabies were here at the time and enjoyed being an audience for him. So he had two little supervisors watching him work out here, and yeah, they really enjoyed that.
Jake came up with a price for a composite deck, and it was all custom, cut around the pool and the railing, and everything was just custom work.
Jake was doing it with the company that was putting the pool in. So they were messing up right and left. So we had to continuously change what we were doing for the deck. So Jake was forever talking to the pool people, trying to coordinate with them so that everything could get done correctly. Jake was so good at talking to them, so I didn't have to. Once we had the pool deck put on, we saw how wonderful it was with the composite material and what a good job that Jake did. We decided that the deck that we had put on our big house, that's right behind the pool house, we needed to get that deck put on correctly.
And I'll say this, Oasis Deck did a really good job working with our township inspector.
I mean, Jake had to go to a township meeting and took his time out of his evening to go to the township meeting, and everything went according to plan.
Our house posed a little extra challenge for Jake in the bay window that hadn't been put on properly by the previous owner, things that Jake had to really go to the drawing board to figure out the best way to adapt. And the end result ended up being the bay window was supported stronger than it had been, and the deck is probably indestructible.
Here's what you can expect whenever Oasis Custom Decks comes out for your estimate.
Incidentally, Jake was doing a project over here and he was doing it nice. So I approached Jake and Jake gave me all the options that can be there, and I selected the ones that I need, and Jake came up with a quotation. And it was very competitive. I took quotations from others as well. So he very clearly told me what unique things he's going to bring in this deck. And I saw that happen when he actually built it.
My husband liked the Trex the most and actually found Jake's name as one of their authorized contractors in our area. So the call was made, and he was here right when he said he was going to be here, gave us information, talked about the safety. We let him know what it was that we were looking for. He had samples right in his truck, spent a lot of time with us, answered questions, and was not a hard sales pitch, which we always appreciate.
We initially talked to 5 different companies. Many did not want to come out in person. They wanted to do things from aerial photography and give prices that way, and that wasn't what we were looking for. So we were pleased to have somebody to come and take the time to go over this project and kick around ideas. Jake was really helpful in giving us ideas. So we sort of co-created some of what we ended up with by bouncing things back and forth. Found Jake to be very professional, very straightforward. It was refreshing. Instantly had a good connection and felt that somebody who was authentic and trustworthy. His knowledge, his expertise, the way he engaged us in decision making, not hiding any issues that he felt we needed to address. It was all up front and handled really well.
I really Googled local deck manufacturers in the area, and Oasis was one of the first ones that came up. We looked at the reviews and other testimonials and pictures of decks, videos that he's taken, and we reached out and he came in and we reviewed the perimeter, showed us some pictures and some videos of past work he's done, and we felt very confident. And Jake was very forthcoming with the material prices, the man hours that would go into it, and we were very comfortable with the quote and the pricing. He came back to us very quick, and we were able to make a decision right away.
The Oasis Custom Decks process is specific to our company. It allows us to give you the best deck possible in the least amount of time, with the least interruption to your schedule, and leave you with the best possible product that we can make. The first day that we're going to be on site is going to be to deal with the layout and the footings. We're going to show up with equipment, sometimes a mini skid steer, sometimes a full-size skid steer, depending on the size of your project, with an attachment of an auger and a blade. And we're gonna dig all the footings, get them inspected, and fill them with concrete all the way up to the top. That can usually be done in the first working day. Sometimes with larger projects, that becomes a 2-day project, but generally it's 1 day on a standard deck build. Once the footings are completed, we'll be leaving to go continue the work of the project at the shop. That's where we're going to complete our milling process and prepare the structure and as many of the components as we can, so that when we come back the second day on site, generally we're able to fully assemble the deck structure. The third day on site, we're installing the decking and the railing. Fourth day on site, we finish up railing and fascia and do our site cleanup. If you have a standard size deck, anything under a 16 by 20 or smaller, that's generally what your schedule is going to look like. If you add stairs, you're going to add a few days to that, but Because our process takes out so many of the small detailed steps that a very skilled carpenter will need to know to be able to build you a high quality finished deck, we're able to do it faster, more accurately than that, and give you a better, longer lasting product in less time. That's not something that anybody else is going to tell you on video. That's not something that my competitors are going to offer you, but our specific milling process allows us to do that without charging you exorbitant amounts extra for things like engineered lumber products or steel frame products. All those products are very good and they certainly have their place. But we're able to save our customers a considerable amount of money because we're doing the things that allow us to give you a better finish, a more accurate structure, and that allows us to finish faster, give you a better product, and it's going to be a safe deck for your family. In 2020, there was a huge change in how wood was milled. They started speeding up the process because they didn't have enough of it. It's caused a lot of problems in consistency to the width of the boards. They sped up the kiln process. It caused a lot of problems with different size crowns, and we were seeing a lot more wood movement. And as a result of that, getting decks to sit flat became like a really big problem. We were spending a lot more time and a lot more energy doing everything that was possible with the wood on site to deal with the inconsistencies, to try and get the top surface to be on one plane so the decking would sit properly. The problem with that was we were seeing issues that took an additional 6 days of planing and shimming and making very meticulous cuts to make that single plane. To solve this problem so that we didn't have all these extra days on site and have to do all of these extra cuts and a lot of extra work, what we started doing was we started milling the wood with a jointer and then re-ripping all of the joists down to the exact same width. We repeat this process with the beams, and the ledge board, the band board, and all of the structural lumber that we have. And what that does is it allows us to end up with a much better finish at the end of the day, a much quicker building process, and takes away so many of the flaws that you have in the wood that is otherwise unavoidable. Now, you could go to the lumber yard and you can measure the end and the center and the other end of every board, and you could check every single one for crown, and you could spend, an hour or two picking through 2 or 3 piles of lumber to get one deck with wood and just piss off every lumber supplier out there. Or you could do our milling process, or you could add a few extra days to every single deck project, at least 2 to 3 days, to ensure that the structure is on the same plane and built so that you can finish it well. So the investment that we made in our milling process completely changes all that. We're able to get things done so much faster and so much more accurately. As a result, the decks will lay flatter, they go together faster, more accurately, and you just don't have the same problems that you would have otherwise. It enables me to stand on this deck that was done over 2 years ago and look down the deck from end to end and see a perfectly flat surface 2 years later. It's that level of precision that really makes the difference with our finished product and everyone else. One of the differences between Oasis and many of the other deck building companies is that we do more blocking than is required by code. Code generally calls for center span blocking over the beam, but does not call for blocking between each joist at the band board. The combination of these 3 locations with blocking installed is going to allow your structure to be much more rigid. The band board blocking effectively installed properly doubles your band board size and acts in a way as a secondary beam for your structure. It makes it significantly more rigid. It really locks in the joists so that they can't move and twist over time as they dry. And it also allows for the band board to be much better attached to the structure so it cannot be pulled away. This is important because your posts and the strength of your handrail and your safety relies on that band board being attached properly. So this extra step and full depth blocking over the beam and blocking at center span ensures that all the joists are working cohesively and together, and that's something that you just won't find with other deck builders because the minimum blocking required by code is generally adhered to. But whenever you're Oasis custom decks, minimums never apply. Composite handrails have a weakness. The weakness is what holds them up. They have a 4x4 piece of lumber, a 4x4 piece of treated lumber that the sleeves for the handrail posts go over. Those sleeves are just sometimes they're made out of composite material, sometimes they're made out of fiberglass material, sometimes it's a mixture between vinyl and fiberglass. Whatever the case is, they all rely on that 4x4 piece of treated lumber to hold them up and to give you all the strength you need for your railing system. The problem is that 4x4 lumber can twist over time. As a result of that, you can see movement in your railing system due to the lumber drying as it's sitting in a completely protected environment inside that composite sleeve. So as we saw some of our railing systems not necessarily fail, but movement over time, we moved to what's called a glue-lam 4x4. Glue-lam posts aren't commercially available in a 4x4. So what we do is at our shop, we get 4x8 glue-lam posts and we cut those in a 4x4 size specifically for our customers. This allows us to offer the stability that a steel post that would cost about $75 to $100 per steel post, with a glue-lam post that offers the structural integrity of having a post installed all the way into the structure. So it really is the best engineering and deck building solution available, but it is something you're only going to find at Oasis Custom Decks because we care about quality and we care about your safety, and we want to make sure that the railing systems are attached permanently, well, and stably on every one of our decks. When you're building a structure out of treated lumber, you're building a structure outside that's going to be in the elements as long as it's standing. So you always want to do everything you can to make sure that that wood can get dry again. If it cannot dry, it's going to die. Carpenters have been saying that since they've been building houses out of wood. The problem is, code allows us to bury our 6x6 posts and place them on top of a footing that's buried below ground level. The argument for this is that it provides additional racking strength. However, the problem is that over time, the top layer of dirt holds a lot of water, and it does not allow the 6x6 to dry in most cases. And if you're on the side of the house that receives the weather in generally, where you have water blowing in, as opposed to a dry side of the house, I've seen 6x6s in 10 to 15 years be nearly completely rotted through. Our solution to rotting posts is using full depth footings. The concrete's filled up to ground level, and we place a anchor bolt into the concrete while it's wet. That's called a J-bolt, and that permanently attaches your base plate, which your post sits on top of. This gets your wood entirely out of the ground, it allows it to dry, and is considered a permanent connection. The permanent nature of the 6x6 to post-based connection allows our customers to know that no matter how long they're living in their house, they're never going to have to worry about the post rotting. And if for some reason there was damage to their structure, 6x6 posts that are connected to a base plate in that manner are relatively easy and simple to replace. Whereas when they're in the ground, that's not the case. When it comes to stair building, you don't want stairs that are going to fail. Nobody likes the thought of a stair tread falling out from under them when they're walking up, especially whenever maybe you've got a full plate worth of barbecue gone up the steps, or maybe your kid fell asleep in the lounge chair down in the yard and you're just trying to get them back up to their bed. So whenever we build stairs, I won't say that we overbuild them, but we build them in a way that you never have to worry about a failure. One of the requirements that many composite manufacturers have is actually 12-inch on center risers. This is not a code requirement, but the composite manufacturers require it because the way you install composite is not the same that you install treated lumber to a structure. You need more rigidity. And when it comes to steps, you want to ensure your safety. So one of the additional things that we do that is not common in the industry is we apply 2x risers. What that means is if you have a 2x4, 6, 8, or 12, that's a 2x. Okay, so it's an 1.5 inch thick piece of framing lumber, and that's attached to the face of every single step on the riser. This allows your stairs to be effectively a grid of joists. Instead of just the stringers being the joist, they're all held together at every step by another piece of framing lumber. That combined with the way we attach the stairs, anytime it's possible, we attach the stairs with extended stringers. Extended stringers offer a much better connection to the deck structure because it integrates into the deck structure, not just with the edge joist, but with one joist in as well. You're able to get a connection from two different directions. And because of how integrated the extended stringers are into the structure, it cannot move without moving the deck structure. A combination of 12-inch on center stringers, 2x risers, and extended stringers ensures that you will always be safe no matter how long you keep your deck and your steps.